So, like some other popular units, you've probably seen the massive amounts of glaze on this unit. I'm going to tell you now that she, in fact, is incredibly good. But just know that if there aren't any pre-waves at all, she's actually really bad. But yeah, you know what's funny? The old Miyu is a defense, ignore, and magic, while this new one is a super crit unit and physical, which are basically complete polar opposites of each other. So that's quite unique. So without further ado, let's get this started. Our first slot is a 6-star physical slot, where you could most definitely plop her true weapon on there, or you could run some other nuke equip, as she is a nuker, if you didn't know. So Blade Regalia isn't a bad option here. Her second slot is a 5-star magic slot, where you could either throw some Archgen equip here, or another random like nuke equip. True Formula Hot can be put here, as she does fire damage. The third slot is a 4-star physical slot. Throwing something like B3 Claw or some damage increasing equip is good here. Her at limit break 7, she gains a 4-star defense slot, which is not really worth getting, so yeah, I would skip that. So onto her skill. Her skill deals 2000% fire physical damage, and for 7 seconds, she increases her own accuracy by 30% on a 12-second CT. A really useless skill, 30% is low and accuracy is already really niche. Her art deals 28,000% fire physical damage, and for 15 seconds it reduces enemies' fire resistance by 60%. 60% is on the higher side of the average res down given on an normal art, but given the rest of her kit you're about to see, you're going to realize how you're basically never going to use both this normal art or skill. Well, her true art deals 65,000% fire physical damage and increases all allies' arts by 30. And for 50 seconds, she increases allies' physical damage by 80%, which is infinitely stackable within the duration, of course. So this is really good, and you'll see why this is actually like really good later down her kit. Lastly, her super arts deals 170,000% fire physical damage and increases her own crit rate by 100% and super crit rate by 50% during the duration of her super art. Quite lame for a super art, since like Wargoth increases attack along with all this stuff, but due to the stackable physical damage, you could do some crazy nukes with this super art. Her first ability increases her own arts by 200 and attack by 50% at the start of battle, up to a maximum of 300% attack. So this is a really good ability when there are a lot of pre-stages. This ability is basically the better version of Jay and Gray, given the effects given are team-wide and don't necessarily have a limit, or rather only the physical damage is team-wide, and that physical damage is really good. So this is really good for farming things like Crest Palaces, multiplayer, and mine. But if there are no pre-stages, running J might be a better idea. Her second ability increases her own paralyzed resistance by 100%. Cool, but there's no freeze res, unfortunately. Her third ability increases her own magic resistance by 10%. Cool, self-damage reduction, but you know, it gets kind of niche. Her true weapon deals 5,000% fire physical damage, and for 10 seconds it reduces the enemy's fire resistance by 40% and increases her own attack by 40%. This is kind of a mediocre ability if you ask me, so I might not even run this at all and just run like a nuke equip instead. The first ability increases her own arts by 3 per second. It's higher than equips by an extra 1 art, but even then I wouldn't exactly run this unless you were like sustaining. But because the equip's normal effect is like quite mediocre. The second ability increases her own physical resistance by 5%. Cool, you have a 10% magic resistance and a 5% physical resistance now, but even then it's like selfish, and like you're probably running a tank anyway, so this probably doesn't even matter. So running some high damage increasing equip instead here on the 5-star physical slot might be better. For team compositions, anything physical related, she can work on like any team basically. She's a general damage dealer. So if you really wanted like some partners with her, Summer Iris is good, Summer Luvia is good, and Hoka are all good units. Overall, Summer Miyu is basically a farming version of Jay, so she's pretty cool. 200 arts per battle with stackable physical damage along with 30 arts for the team each wave. It's honestly what every crest farmer or farmer in general would have ever dreamed of. And given Grand Summer is giving some luck gems, I fully recommend using them on her because she's such a great farmer. On our tier list, she'd probably play somewhere like on tier 0.5 or something, because she's like really good. You can use her anywhere. If there's pre-stages, that is, of course. So next are the equips. First, we have the 5-star support equip, Homuhara Academy's Elementary School Summer Uniform. Quite a long name, but it increases all allies' arts by 30, and for 40 seconds it increases human allies' damage by 20%, which is stackable on a 35-second CT. At most, you're maintaining 2 stacks or 40% damage on this equip, which isn't bad at all. So if you get this and you're running mono human, you can consider this as an option. The next equip is a 5-star physical equip, Miyu swimsuit, which deals 13,500% fire physical damage, and for 10 seconds it increases own attack by 100%. And if the user is above 80%, it increases own attack by 150% instead. I wouldn't use this equip that much, but since it's a better version of Hero's gloves, it's not that bad. Especially if you get it on a character that has the attack to damage passive. Though the only one I'm aware of who has a physical slot is Valere, or SS Valere. The next equip is a 5-star equip known as Rule Breaker, which actually has no relation to Miyu at all, but oh well. It deals 4,000% water physical damage, and for 8 seconds it increases a user's break power by 60%, 90% instead if the enemies are afflicted with a status ailment. This equip also has 4,000 break power, which makes this a pretty solid break nuke equip, though that's about it. The last equip is the farmable 5-star magic equip, Miyu Straw Hat, and it deals 8,000% fire magic damage, and if the user is fire, for 10 seconds it increases the user's crit rate by 100%. It's a pretty trash equip. Farm 1 maximum break for the quest or something. The ability increases the user's max HP by 5%, which is also really mid. Well, that about summarizes this summer Miyu guide, and I truly believe that she is basically the best unit in this collab, other than Shiro. So I'd actually pity her instead of Summer Lumia, but hey, you do you. Don't forget to drink
Diet Coke.
Peace.